Hello and welcome to Tackle It Tuesday. Now I have to be honest with y'all. I already had a video recorded and uploaded for today on Tuesday, but guess what? I really want to get this video done by the end of September. And well, Tuesday, September 30th. So today's the day, right? So if you're a returning viewer, you might have seen my video on Thursday. I believe it was Thursday. Yeah, where I was talking about my tank top, right? And I was like, I really was upset about that tank top. I'd set a goal for myself, have it done by the end of summer. Didn't get that done. And then I was like, have it done for your last finish your Friday. Well, guess what? That wasn't done. So then I was like, have it done by the end of September. Right? Well, guess what? Guess what? Guess what? That's right. We have a FO today. The tank top is done. It is off the needles. I am so excited about that. Now, will I have a chance to wear it this year? I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be warm enough to wear it or not, but I did make it to go with the skirt, right? You've probably been following the process of the making of the skirt that I made. If you're a returning viewer, right? And by the way, if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for choosing to come back, hang out, spend a little bit of your day with me, and thank you for your patience while I briefly introduce myself to anybody who might be new to my channel. Hi. My name's May. I love yarn. I love to knit and crochet. Those are my hobbies. And I also happen to have been born visually impaired. Excuse me. Legally blind and completely colorblind. So I mostly knit and crochet by feel. So months ago now, I designed a skirt, right, in the Hawthorne DK. I was made off of the shawl that I made by Crystal from Bag O' Day. And then I made that skirt in the Hawthorne DK where I put the shawl in the round. I got whole tutorials, by the way, on the skirt on my channel about how to convert that shawl into us in the round for a skirt, right? So then I made the skirt, and then I was like, I need a summer top now to go with that, right? So then I started designing my top. Yes, they are both, the top and the skirt are both knit and crochet. They worked in the Knit Picks We Crochet Cotton, a DK weight yarn that is 70% Tangwees cotton, 30% linen. And the top, I got the idea. Well, first of all, I probably should save this project for a Finish It Friday, right? Because the reality is there might come a week when we don't have a video for Finish It Friday. But you know what? If that happens, that happens. Because sometimes it does happen, right? Health happens, right? Illness happens. Weather happens. Other people's issues and drama that we don't have control over sometimes can encroach into our lives, right? Other people sometimes got their own little issues, and sometimes they can cause problems to where we might not be able to record or have videos or whatever. So it doesn't hurt me to bump that video that I had for today. We'll just use it somewhere else. It's a good filler video. But I really was like, you know what? I met my third goal of have your tank top done by the end of September. And I wanted you all to know I did it. I did it. I'm super, super, super excited. So here it is, okay? And so let's talk about this. I started it with the I did not make it in the round. I probably should have. Probably need to practice that, right? Crocheting in the round. But I did crochet the bottom. We started at the bottom. This is designed bottom up. We started at the bottom with the crochet chain. The front and the back of the bottom crochet section are made alike. And I did two separate back panels with the crochet V-stitches and then seamed them together. I'm not great at seaming, but I definitely need to practice it. So I said to myself, practice seaming with crochet. Now, I did join them before I made the top knit section because I am not good at seaming with knitting, and I know that, especially with a DK weight yarn. So I believe I started with a chain of, I want to say 57, okay? And then we did a double crochet into the 6th chain from the hook. So we used the first 3 stitches for our double crochet, and then we had 2 skip chains. So then in that 6th chain we did a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, made a V-stitch, skipped 2, and that 3rd stitch you did double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, just some basic V-stitches all the way across the bottom until I got to my last double crochet, and then I just did a double crochet in that stitch, chain 3, turned my work, went back and did a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet into every single V-stitch all the way across. That's how I did the bottom crochet section. And then I think I did, let's count them, I think we did I'm trying to count my V-stitches here, probably should have counted my V-stitches ahead of time. I think I did 13. I believe I did 13 V-stitches, okay? And that basically is from my waist area, right? Kind of where the top of the skirt is, all the way to the under bust, right? The area where I knew I wanted to start making a knit fabric, transitioning to knit, making a solid fabric. And so when I knew I was getting to the point of wanting to transition to knitting, what I knew I had to do was get back. I had 57 stitches on my chain for done at my waist, but I knew at the bust area I was going to need more stitches. So before I even started knitting, I wanted to get back to the 57, and then I decided to do 63 stitches around on the one side for the front for my bust, and then 62 on the back. Probably could have done a 63 even. Sometimes I like to add a little more to the front, get a little bit more fabric there. So I did that by working pretty much I did 2 double crochets in every V-stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the middle. And if I did that, that would give me the 57, but then I also wanted to add in the 3 more. So in a few places, I went ahead and in the space in between the V-stitches, and also in about 6 in the front, right, because I had 57 going to 63, added 6 more times, put an extra double crochet on those spaces. So you have to kind of figure out the difference, right, in your under bust area versus your bust area. Now, of course, I could have worked increases in the knit section. If that wasn't enough stitches for me, I could have easily worked some more increases in on the side of my knitting. I chose not to do that, but you certainly can do that if you still don't have enough stitches. So once I did that, then I finished my crochet section. So repeated the back panel then, and then I seamed those 2 together to make a nice tube so that then I could start picking up with my knitting needle. So the crochet section was done on a 4.5 millimeter crochet hook, or a G crochet hook, and then I used a US size 6 or 4 millimeter knitting needle to go ahead and pick up those stitches. Now I do have a demo on my channel of how I did that. In that demo, I go into the stitch front to back, and then I knit it through the back loop. I think in this particular pattern, I went ahead and knitted them through the front. I'm not really sure it actually matters. I think it looks fine knitted through the front. I think you could do it either way, but you absolutely can pick up and knit off of your crochet, and likewise you can crochet right with the skirt. We did it opposite, right? The tank top was knit bottom up from crochet to knitting. The skirt was done top down from knitting to crochet, where I crochet off of the knitting needle. So you can absolutely put both together without having to bind off or tie off, and just continue as one solid project, which I love playing with. It I think is so fun, and I love combining the two, right? There used to be like a lot of division and competition between knitting and crochet, which I personally think is silly, and I'm super glad to see that that doesn't seem to be happening anymore, right? I'm starting to see more people that do both, and I love that. I don't think one is better than the other. I think they both have their attributes. There's some things in knitting that you just can't do, that you can do with crochet. Like you get some beautiful lace work. There's a lot more flexibility with shaping with crochet, I feel like, that you can do with that you can't really do with knitting. At the same time, I think knitting gives you a really nice dense fabric for a garment. So I love both, and I love putting them both together. I don't think we need to compete with each other as knitters or crocheters. I just think we should all come together and say, I love yarn. I love to knit and crochet, right? So anyways, once I picked up and had the project on my size US 6, size 4 milli knitting needles, then I knit for a little bit, and I still felt like the fabric was just a little bit, and I did not add any increases, but I still felt like the fabric was just a little bit of a looser knit fabric than I wanted. So I did transition down to a US 5 or 3.75 millimeter knitting needle, okay? And then where I was stuck on Thursday, right, was, you know, how to finish the top. Can I do a v-neck? I really wanted to do a v-neck, but I knew it was going to challenge me for a number of reasons. The math, getting it right, getting the straps lined up, making sure both sides matched. And then for me, I had this extra challenge because if you're a returning viewer, you know. One thing that I hate with knitting that I'm not good at is pick up and knit, right? Now, should I practice it? Yeah, probably I should, but I'm not good at it, and I didn't want to practice it with a DK weight yarn. Probably need to practice it with bigger yarns, with chunky yarns, with bulky yarns, right? But I usually either miss too many stitches and it's gappy, or I get too many in there, it's really bunchy and it bows out. And so a lot of people, when they do v-necks with knitting, they do all of the triangle tops or the cups, whatever you want to call these little sides on the top, right? Some people just call them triangle tops. Some people call it just, you know, your cups, whatever. Most people, when they knit, they just knit that in stockinette, right? Well, because I hate pick up and knit, and so most people would do that, the cups, right, in stockinette. And then they would pick up and knit afterwards, after the fact. They do the whole garment, they'd bind up, they'd finish it, and then they'd pick up and knit, and they would work a garter stitch edging along the edges of the straps, right, on the outside, all the way up one side of the strap, down around the underarm. And they do the same thing with the neckline. They'd go all the way around from one strap down the other, around the back up to the front, and they would work their garter stitch edging to make those edges lay flat. And by the way, I have an entire video on my channel on garter stitch, how to work it in the round, how to work it flat, why we use it, because your edges tend to curl if we don't put some kind of garter stitch or ribbing or seed stitch or something on our edges. That stockinette section really wants to curl. So it is important to have some kind of edging on our straps, our neckline. So I knew that was going to be really important for me to get some kind of garter stitch on there, but I did not want to pick up and knit. And so what I knew that meant was that I needed to work my garter stitch in while I was working the piece. Now the shaping isn't what bothered me too much, right? What I have already figured out is that if I want a garter stitch edging of 3, then I need to knit 3 and then start my shaping, which I did. I knit 3 for garter stitch. Well, what I also did too was when I decided, this is where I made my mistake. Okay, once I made that decision that I wanted to do the v-neck with the garter stitch in it, what I should have done was done that for 3 rows where I stayed in the round, where I determined that I wanted to do 3 stitches in garter stitch and do all of my end stitches purled around, including my 3. See, that's where I made my mistake. I was supposed to have purled. There's a little gap in the transition from my underarm to the strap where I don't have garter stitch right there. Now it's not curling, it's fine, but you can see if you get up close to my armpit, which I don't know why you would, right? I mean, really, it's like right there. But I mean, but if you got up close to my armpit and you inspected my garment and you knew anything about knitting and crochet, you would actually know that you would see that I missed this little section of garter stitch right here. So what I need to do, and I don't have this perfected yet, which is why I didn't make a video of it. I was tempted, like, well, if you're going to make a v-neck, make a video and teach it. But I was like, do you have it perfect yet? No, I don't. So I don't want to teach it until I really know it, right? And so what I should have done was determine that, yes, this is where I want to start my garter stitch, and I should have started it here. as well, not just under the underarm and not just here at the neckline, because I only did one row here at the neckline. Basically, it was I did a round where I took the sections, I knit, except on the sections for the underarm, the strap, you need to determine which stitches those are, including at the middle, and you need to purl those specific stitches while you're working in the round, and then do a round of knit, and then do a round of purl, right? So you create the garter stitch in the round. That's totally, in that video that I have on garter stitch, I explained to you the difference in how you work garter stitch flat versus how you work it in the round, right? If you're working it flat, you knit every stitch to do garter stitch. If you're working it in the round, you knit one round, you purl one round, right? So it's complicated. So that's what I should have done. That was my mistake. Thankfully, my midsection here isn't curling. The few stitches that I missed aren't curling. But I do think I have that figured out now. So once I determined, I even did a swatch of the triangle top. Okay, I did a swatch of the cups even. I did, and I'm so proud of myself, but it really didn't help me. Probably even kind of made me question myself, okay, because I had 63 stitches on the middle. I knew I wanted to get those to 2 even sections, right? We have 2 halves on our body, so we wanted to make those symmetrical. So I had to get that down to 62 stitches, so I just did like a decrease in the center stitch. I think I just did a slip one, knit one, pass slip stitch over. So I went from 63 to 62. So that's the divide, and that's where you start working flat. Then, right, you start working flat and no longer in the round. And so once I did that, and I also had to determine, then that left me with 31 stitches per side. When I did my swatch, I did it over 27 stitches, thinking, yeah, you're going to bind off 4 on the edge, right? Then I pinned that strap to my top here, tried it on, and was like, I don't like the way the strap is too close to my neck. Well, that was just the way the 2 pieces were put together. That should have been what I did. I doubted myself, and so I only bound off 2 armpit stitches on each side, and then work each half of my triangle top over 29 stitches. Should not have done that. Should have gone with the 27. The straps, in my opinion, are out just a little bit too far. I should have taken them in by 1 to 2 stitches on each side, so not perfect. But basically, once you determine, right, how many stitches you want to work over, then you need to figure out your bind off and then figure out your placement of your back straps. And that's if there's more than one way to do this, but that's what I did, is I calculated in then my decreases. I had determined, you also want to determine your strap width that you want, right? And I knew I wanted 3 garter stitches on each edge, so that was 6 stitches right there. And then I also determined I wanted about 7 stitches in the middle, so a total width of 13 stitches on the straps. I wanted it, wide enough to cover my bra straps, right? It doesn't have to be like really wide, but wide enough to cover my bra straps. So I determined 13 stitches, and I was going from 29. That meant I had to take out 16. We're going to take out 6 from 29 to 13. We have to decrease by 16. We're decreasing by 2 stitches each time that we decrease. So we're decreasing 8 times. We want to do 8 decrease rows, right? And so then you have to calculate that out. You have to say, okay, I'm going to bind off the 2 stitches on the back plus the half of that 16, right? You're going to do half on each side, is going to be 8. So then you have to count in 10. So I counted in 10, determined which straps. So I did my straps by working from the front up and then from the back up so that they met in the middle. And then I just did 3 needle bind off for my straps. Now, you can also, in my opinion, instead of just binding off at your underarms, you can bind off and you can work garter stitch for 3 or 4 rounds on the back, bind off completely, and then just sew, work your strap work from your triangle top, right, from your midsection all the way up and around to the back until you have it the length that you want it, and then sew and attach it to your back strap that you've already bound off on. I think there's nothing wrong with doing it that way as well, right? You do you. That's what I say on this channel all the time. You do you, right? So if you'd rather do it that way, you do it that way. I just choose to work mine both sides up, meet in the middle, get that, shoulder seam just like you would have on a manufactured garment, and get that 3 needle bind off. So that's what I decided to do for mine then, was start working my decreases. So that means you work one cup at a time, one triangle top at a time. So once you get this center divided, right, you divide your top for front and back, and then you've got to divide your front into 2 sections. And then you start by working your decreases by starting your knitting 3 on the right side. You're going to knit 3 for your garter stitch. Then you're going to do a knit 2 together, and then you're going to work stockinette until the last 5 stitches, right? And so, did I say knit 2 together? I'm sorry, I might have messed that up. You want to knit 3 for a garter stitch, and then you want to do a slip knit. I can't even remember which one I said. You want to do a slip knit, and then you want to knit stockinette to your last 5 stitches, and then you want to do a knit 2 together for your decrease, and then knit 3 for garter stitch, and then you turn your work to the wrong side, right? This is on the garter stitch video of how to do it from flat to in the ref, and then round to flat. And then you knit 3 to maintain that garter stitch edge. Then you purl across to the last 3 stitches. Then you knit those 3 stitches, and then you turn your work. And so that reduced it from 29 to 27 stitches. And then the next row, I did for row 3 of the triangle top, right? I did knit 3 for the garter stitch, and then I knit across until the last 3 stitches, knit those. I did do no decreases in row number 3, flipped it over to the wrong side, knit 3 for row number 4, knit 3, and then purled across to the last 3 stitches, and then to maintain my garter stitches for the straps, did a knit 3. So that's row 4, and then row 5, I started my decreases again. So I did a knit 3, then I did a slip knit, and then I worked to my last 5 stitches, did a knit 2 together, and did the 3 garter stitches, and started that again. So with a DK weight yarn, which this is what it is, I feel like for my body size, it's going to depend on how big you're trying. It's going to kind of depend on your body, your weight of yarn, your gauge, your needles, all kinds of things. But I just feel like for me, where I wanted my shoulder straps and where I wanted my V-neck, right? I wanted my V-neck so that it wasn't too low. So where I wanted that, and I feel like the shaping on my cups, it was going to work best for me to work those decreases every 4th row, right? You take up 2 stitches every 4th row. That just worked best for me. You'll have to decide on your own, decision on where you want that. So I decreased that, based upon your body, right? That's what we do here. We make our own clothes to fit our bodies here. That's the beauty of knitting and crochet. We don't have to worry, right? We just make them to fit our bodies. And so I work those decreases for 8 rows, right? Row 1, row 5, row 9, row 13, 17, 21, 25, 29. So I did 8 decrease rows every 4 rows till I took out 16 stitches and got it down to 13 stitches. So that was through row 29. Then I kept working with the 3 garter stitch, the 7 in stockinette, 3 garter stitch, back and forth, kept trying it on. Once you get to, a certain time, you're going to know it's time to try it on. I tried it on, tried to knit a little bit, try it on. I got to 48 rows from the V-stitch divide, right? From where I chose to start working the V-stitch, where I started separating the cups. I did 48 rows, and then I stopped, tried it on, thought that was good. Now, I really did want to start the other side so I could make a match, but I knew the thing to do was to start the back strap and work it up for 48 rows of just straight. I didn't do triangles on the back. Now, you can, okay? There's nothing wrong with also shaping your top, putting triangles on the back. You do it however you want to do it, right? But for me, it just worked best to do with a knit 3, for the garter stitch, then knit the 7, then knit 3 for the garter stitch, flip it around, knit 3, purl 7, knit 3, do that for 48 rows, tried it on, pinned it up. That felt right to me. So I did that, then did my 3 needle bind off. That's what we got for our straps. We just did 3 needle bind off. I do jump my needle size up too, by the way, right? I've learned the hard way, right? What I talk about with my lace weight scarf, the Super Kid Mohair Vine Lace scarf, I learned the hard way. Again, really bump your needle size up when you're binding off. So I'm trying to remember what size needle I used on this. I went at least to a 7, maybe even to an 8 or a 9. Wish I took notes. I'm really, really, really bad about that, right? But at least a 7. You figure out how tightly you bind off and determine how many needle sizes you have to go up to keep your straps. But I did do it right? Like I didn't bunch it up like on that scarf. So I'm really happy with that. Then I went and replicated it on the other side so that at least my 2 straps match each other. So there are ways to do V-necks where you don't have to pick up and knit. And I knew for me, as somebody who hates pick up and knit because I'm visually impaired, I hate feeling each of those individual stitches. I knew if I wanted to do a V-neck, I had to calculate it and do it so that I could work the garter stitch right on the garment. And I love it. I love it. So if you hate pick up and knit as much as I do, then that's a great method and way to work a V-neck and avoid pick up and knit. Alrighty, my friends. So this is the one place, right? There's the one mistake where I didn't do my garter stitch soon enough. That's where I don't have the transition there. Other than that, though, I'm really happy with the tank top. It's very wearable. It's very functional. So say hello in the comment section. Let me know what your Tackle It project is. This is for Tackle It Tuesday, right? I mean, I might regret doing this for Tackle It Tuesday because there might not be a finished object one day when I'm like, ooh, should have saved your tank top for Finish It Friday, right? But we are doing Tackle It Tuesday. Which, by the way, I did not invent that. That came from Shannon at Another Yarn on her YouTube channel. She does Tackle It Tuesday where she gets out old projects and her Tackle It Tuesday projects are usually like years old and she's like, let's finish it, right? Let's do it. Well, this one felt like it was years old to me. I felt like I started it, probably was like in August, probably was like, a month ago or 2 months ago or something when I started it. But it felt like a long time to me. And I'll be honest with you, after I made the video Thursday, I did set it down. I did do other things. I did go to bed. But you know what? If you're a returning viewer, you know I have insomnia, right? Slept less than an hour, got up, and guess what? Couldn't sleep. And I'm like, do your tank top. You're either going to get it or you're going to ruin it, but you can't let it set forever. You've got to make a decision. So I did tackle this thing, worked on it till after 3 o'clock in the morning. This tank top was finished after 3 o'clock in the morning. So yes, we did tackle it. We did tackle it till after 3 a.m. That's right. So Tackle It Tuesday. Mine not as old as hers, but mine did go on till 3 o'clock in the morning. So let me know what your Tackle It projects are. What do you have that your sleeping whips are? Your hibernating whips. Those whips that you like set aside because you can't make a decision on and you're like, I don't know, or I just don't want to do that right now. So I know most of us, if we knit and crochet, we got sleeping whips, right? We got hibernating whips. So let me know what yours is, your languishing whips that you need to get out and tackle it. I want to encourage you to tackle those whips, or it could be cleaning your desk drawers too, right? Projects that we put off for a while. Those can be our Tackle It projects. We can hashtag it. Shannon said so. So she said hashtag it, use it, right? She wasn't like saying, don't use my hashtag. No, she's saying use it. So I'm saying to you, use it, motivate yourself. So I didn't meet my first goal of end of summer, didn't meet my second goal of last Finish It Friday in September, but I did meet my third goal of having it done by the end of September, and I'm happy about it. So also let me know in the comment section, did you think I was going to finish it, or did you think I was going to mess it up? What did you think I should have done with it? And It's okay if you were betting against me. If you were like, she ain't never gonna finish that, or she's gonna mess it up. It's okay. It really is. So, alrighty, my friends. Well, do you want to see the tank top on with the skirt? Do you want to go out to the living room and do that? Okay, let me put the camera on pause, and we'll take a field trip to the living room, and we'll check out the skirt and the top on. Okay, I'll be right back with you. Okay, well, here we are in the living room. I have on the top and the skirt together. I think it's functional. I think it works. With the top and the skirt, they're both in the color. The top's in the color Nightfall. I don't remember if I said that or not, which is a really dark, deep bluish purple. And then the skirt is, of course, in the three colors, right? It's the Nightfall and Harbor. And there's one other color up on the bottom, and y'all, I can't even remember what it is, but it is indigo bunting. That's right, it's another blue as a fade. So anyways, like I said, here's the mistake, right, in here. So you really inspected my armpits. I mean, really. So other than that, though, I think it fits good. I think it's functional. I was kind of worried it was going to be too loose on the bottom. I don't think it is. I think it's nice. I think it's comfortable. I think it's airy and beachy. And that's what I was going for with this skirt and the waves skirt. I wanted it to be very beachy, very fun. I think I achieved that with the top as well. I'm happy with it overall. So thank you so much for listening. And you know what we have to say, right? Creativity is for everybody, whether you sing or you see like me, which is not in color and not in the day, or you don't see it all. Creativity is for you. And whether it's knitting or crocheting or sewing or quilting or beading or sculpting or painting or weaving or carving or whatever it is that you do, today is a great day to craft and create. Thanks so much for listening. Until next time, happy stitching. Bye-bye for